Okay, well, here we are. Welcome to On Freedom, Finding Freedom Together, a discussion inspired by Timothy Snyder's On Freedom, with a lot of thought and support from the Buffalo History Museum and Humanities New York. So we are accomplices from justice reconvening for the first time in a while. So thank you all for your support. And we are going to, without much further ado, just start off. So the way we're going to do this is if I'm going to actually turn off most of your videos so that it's going to be Pastor Hughes and myself for a little while. And then we are going to open it up for questions. And hopefully, let's see if that does that. Yes. All right. If your video is on, I'm gonna please. I can do that. You don't have to do anything. There we go. All right. So, Pastor Hughes, we are accomplices from justice is our attempt to turn conversations about things that matter into actions that make a difference. And we have been doing this for a year now.
It's been a year.
It's been a year.
I can't believe it. It seems like yesterday.
Welcome,
That's
everybody.
very cliche to say, but
Please
come
come
on
in
in.
and have a seat.
You can sit at the table.
Yes.
And friends of ours said, oh, we're like, okay.
Well, wonderful.
See, and then it's like, there's no.
Well, we have a whole bunch of people online, and
Pass a packet around there.
I didn't show my card.
What card?
My membership.
Oh, I don't have one either.
Oh, okay.
So I think you're I think you're okay.
yes.
And I got to put my glasses on so I can see because all I see is blobs. So, all right, who are we? Okay, there we go. I see.
Please.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
No. None of us are Timothy Snyder. He's the author.
Tim is the author of the book. I'm the co-host. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, Pastor Hughes, could you put don't hide non-video participants on yours,
Okay.
if you can figure it out?
Let me figure it out.
So
That's not it.
welcome. What's your name? Dwayne. And
You've got people coming in, they love it.
wonderful.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Jonathan Freirich. I'm a rabbi here in
You're just
Buffalo.
getting
This
people
is
in.
I am Reverend Wylie Hughes. I'm pastor of Orchard Park Presbyterian Church. Ah.
I just read some of this book. The book is amazing.
Oh, good.
Is to east side over the.
Okay.
We have great things to do.
Oh yeah, Todd is spectacular. Todd's a good guy.
and on remotely with us, we have a whole bunch of people. So we're thankful that Allison and Tay and Chris and Deb and Denise and my colleague Rabbi Jonathan Malamy and my mother are zooming in at the same time.
It's so great.
So this is an
Jonathan,
experiment of sorts.
Jonathan, you're echoing. John.
Yeah, there's an echo.
There is an echo. I don't know what I can do about it
And
except.
John Jeffrey is here too.
Excellent. All right. So I'm going to move over and here for a second so that you and I will be at the same mic, and then we'll just move this camera.
Good.
I am no longer with the temple. I was at Temple Beth Ryan for a while.
Okay. Oh, okay. We just had them on Sunday. The Lutheran Temple. So, so you are doing this.
I am doing this.
That's fabulous. Yes.
Here we go. Okay.
Well, it's so nice to meet you coming from, we were heard that there was going to be a pastor from Orchard Park, so.
Go ahead. There we are.
So our mission is the two of us are accomplices for justice. We've been doing this for a year, almost always remotely. And so we've had conversations on a number of topics, trying to figure out how we can do better together. And as a society.
Thank you. But yes, please get the door for us. Or ask him to join us. I don't know.
Over time, we've talked about a lot of different topics. We were inspired by this book on freedom by Timothy Snyder, especially in the wake of the election that seems to have shown just how divided we are as a society. I've done a lot of work community organizing here in town with Voice Buffalo, and especially in the wake of 514, we have realized the degree to which we really need to bring people of faith, but people from different walks of life all together in ways to do more than we've ever done before. Because we, as another author has pointed out, here we are in New York State, one of the bastions of liberalism in this country, and we still have a terrible education system. We still have a terrible divide between the wealthy and everybody else who's struggling, and we have not solved things despite having Democrats in charge for decades. So we're not figuring this out. And the only way to figure this out is to work together and to make better demands. We looked at a ton of books. We looked at racism from different angles. We looked at whether or not DEI is helping. We had a really interesting conversation about started off by a letter from a pastor in South Chicago, the south side of Chicago, who said, DEI hasn't changed anything for my neighborhood.
If anything, it has hurt. He talked about how it has actually hurt his community.
So why? Because we'll talk at greater length about that. So we were galvanized by Timothy Snyder's particular writing on freedom, which is he has been writing about tyranny and about Eastern Europe for decades. And this is his new approach to try to really figure out, how do we recalibrate our thinking about this thing that we hold so dear here in the United States? And one of the ways that we are thankful to Humanities New York for helping us with this grant. Hopefully Adam Perry, who is a local board member of Humanities of New York, will come and join us at some point. We are thankful to the Buffalo History Museum for sponsoring us. We are thankful to our association that is supported through Open Door Judaism, which is an organization I run. If anybody wants to support us, check us out on opendoorjudaism.org and feel free to join and make a donation. Now, what I want to talk about is, I want to start us off with this question about freedom to versus freedom from. And before we even get into the texts, when you first heard this, Reverend Hughes, Reverend Dr. Wylie Hughes, what did you think about sort of Professor Snyder's differential on the question of freedom from interference, as it were, and freedom to live better, to sum up? What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was I had never seen or heard freedom spoken like that before, right? Freedom has always been something that we've taken for granted. But what came to my mind immediately was the definition of freedom given by Assata Shakur back in the late 90s, I think. She said that, well, first they asked her about freedom, and her response was, "You're asking me about freedom." She said, "You are asking me about freedom," as if I know what freedom feels like, right? So what do you want me to say? And then she said, if I had to guess what freedom is the ability, and the freedom is, how did she say it? Freedom is being able to grow. That's the way she defined freedom. Being able to grow, right? Being able to make mistakes, being able to get something wrong, being able to learn from those mistakes, and then being able to grow and become a better person because of those experiences.
Wow.
Right? This is Asada Shakur saying this is what freedom is. And the irony of that was that she had none of that.
Well, and when I hear her response,
Mhm.
I think back to Frederick Douglass's "This is not my Independence Day,"
Right, right.
right? That we live in a country that has touted freedom as an important value from its beginning.
Right,
But freedom for whom?
right. Freedom for whom?
So Professor Snyder takes us to the core. He starts with this idea that American freedom is not working.
Right.
And you want to maybe start these texts? We're going to start this. Okay. So for those of you at home, if you don't have the text, you want me to put it on the screen for a second?
Brilliant segue.
John, you're muted.
I'm moving my computer.
Yeah,
We
and
should
when
have
you're
sat
on the
together
other,
anyway, right?
when
You
you're
wanna
on the
come
other
sit
mic,
over
we
here,
don't see you.
and we can share the mic between us here.
Yeah, I'm. We're figuring it out.
Stand by. Stand by. We are figuring out how to use our space more efficiently. Okay. And that way, oh no. What? Oh, you did that.
I did that.
Okay.
I can walk and talk at the same time.
You'd make a great Marine.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Nanette, hello. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay. So here we are. We're gonna read a couple of selections, and Pastor Hughes and I are gonna toss them back and forth. It is easy to imagine that freedom will be brought to us by a song, by jets over a stadium, by the land, by the ancestors, by the founders, by capitalism. But is the notion that we are granted freedom right for a home of the brave? Is it not more courageous to ask what Americans have done, could have done, should do?
We say that a symbol stands for something, but all too often a symbol merely stands in for something. The American flag is supposed to stand for freedom, but it can very easily stand in for freedom. In singing the anthem, we treat its values as permanent or as if they were enacted by song, but praise is not practice.
And this is where we were getting to. By no meaningful index are Americans today among the freest peoples of the world. An American organization, Freedom House, measures freedom by the criteria Americans prefer: civil and political liberties. Year after year, about 50 countries do better than us on these measures.
Our northern neighbor, Canada, stands far above us. In a recent ranking, the United States shared a place with South Korea, a country Americans fought for, Romania, a post-communist country that few Americans would see as a peer, and Panama, a country that the United States called into existence in order to get a canal built.
So think about that for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Let's hold on that for a moment. We are supposed to be the land of the free. We are supposed to have positive metrics of our freedom. And yet, again, South Korea, a country that is the result of a war that we didn't actually win, is as free as we are. Panama, a country that we created for the sake of imperialism,
Yeah.
is as free as we are. And Canada, a country on our northern border, a remnant of the British Empire, outdoes us on
Just
so many
about all.
measures of freedom, and we're
Yeah.
not even talking about the measures that we don't count.
Right. Right.
These are just our measures of freedom, not national measures of freedom. So let's go to those. The truth about the land of the free.
Oh, okay. Thought we were going to go further. Okay. The truth about the land of the free is more sobering still. Most of the countries with higher rankings than ours in civil and political liberties would surpass us by still greater margins in the measures that their citizens would consider elements of freedom, such as access to healthcare. If such measures were included, we would fall even further down on the scale.
Yeah, bad.
Yeah, this is pretty bad.
The countries where people tend to think of freedom as freedom to are doing better by our own measures, which tend to focus on freedom from. And this is really the crux of what we're going to talk about today. That should give us pause for thought. Political systems that are oriented towards freedom to are doing better than we are on freedom from. This suggests that there is no contradiction between the two. Indeed, it suggests that freedom to comes first. That is not what we are used to thinking or want to think. It helps to look at others if we want to understand ourselves.
We tend to think of freedom just as freedom from, as negative. But conceiving of freedom as an escape or an evasion does not tell us what freedom is nor how it would be brought into the world. Freedom, too, positive freedom, involves thinking about who we want to become. What do we value? How do we realize our values in the world? If we don't think of freedom as positive, we won't even get freedom in the negative sense, since we will be unable to tell what is in fact a barrier, how barriers can be taken in hand and become tools, and how tools extend our freedom. That's highlight right there. That's
Right.
a highlight right there. I mean,
and his denouement on this, his conclusion, freedom from is a conceptual trap. It is also a political trap in that it involves self-deception, contains no program for its own realization, and offers opportunities to tyrants. Both a philosophy and a politics of freedom have to begin with freedom to.
Keep going.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Freedom is positive. It is about holding virtues in mind and having some power to realize them. Insofar as such a thing can be measured, Americans could be doing better. As I write in self-reported well-being, Americans are 15th in the world. In about 50 countries, people live longer lives.
Okay. So what does that make us think about? Any questions or thoughts? Throw something in the chat. And I will take down the text.
It actually makes me think of our forefathers that wrote the Constitution. It makes me wonder what they were thinking.
Right. Or what they would think if they were alive today. Because our concept of freedom today is vastly different than their concept of freedom then. Right?
Oh, and freedom for whom?
Right.
Yes, right, right.
They have just,
Right. We have significantly changed our definition of freedom since then, in terms of who gets what, any of it. The really big emphasis here, though, is when we talk about freedom in the United States, we talk about freedom from government interference. That in no way, shape, or form actually measures our lives.
The Constitution.
No. America.
Well, but
We don't in the public sphere today, when people talk about freedom, what do they talk about?
complaints about all the people who are getting staff.
So we complain about other people getting things that we think we deserve.
Or that they
don't get.
or that they don't deserve. Less about what we,
That's not freedom.
Even if they have everything.
That's not
That's
freedom.
not freedom though.
Hear a lot, I think people who have concept of freedom is to do whatever they want,
Mm,
whatever they want to do it. to.
right.
Okay. An excellent statement. Freedom to do whatever they want to
Whomever
whomever
they want.
want to do it to. Yes, Nanette.
Say, I read to have a mouthful of food. That as a black person, one, I don't give a fuck about founding fathers. I don't give a fuck about it.
I blame you.
This, and not for the reason that you think. Democracy is a growing, living thing. They couldn't recognize what we have today.
Mm,
And where they're coming from just doesn't relate.
yeah, yeah.
You know, it's to the fathers we have now,
Right,
and that's so much worse.
and, well, don't we start on fathers. I was a lioness preacher who got my mother pregnant at 16, but anyway. So the founding, I just, when I hear people talk about, the founding fathers, they couldn't recognize what we have today.
You're right.
And their thought system just isn't even relevant. Two, again, as a black person, how I hear freedom, the way we talk about it today, it is always about the freedom to, like you were saying earlier, the freedom to be left alone to do whatever
Mm,
certain people want to do to other people.
mm,
So we talk about freedom, like when we talk about, like when business people talk about, they want the freedom, they want to be free to, they want to be free to kick immigrants out of the country, and they want to be free to use them for cheap labor.
right, right.
So this is really important.
And lastly, the whole Civil War was about the South, Southern white rich people's freedom
Mm,
to, they were ready to tear up our country over it.
mm.
Freedom to abuse other people for the sake of commerce.
So this is the next reading. So let's
Mm-hmm.
read the next reading because it's directly where you wanted to go, Nanette.
You want me to just read from the thing?
I'm putting it up.
Oh, you're putting it up, okay.
So there it is. Slavery was conceived of.
Slavery was conceived of as negative freedom, a right of the slave owner to own property, with which the government was not to interfere. It is this tradition that leads some of us to think that government action must work against non-Black people if it is working for Black people. Negative freedom invites white people to think of themselves as self-sufficient, like plantation owners with no need for government assistance. Then many white people and other non-Black people reject a right to health care since it means sharing it with Black people. This failure to recognize the lead of the other leads to self-deception and unfreedom. In the end, one's own lead is also ignored and abused or even killed. We die sooner when we live a lie.
So,
you have to break down what lead
I'm
is.
gonna break this down a little
Yes.
bit. So this failure to recognize I believe it's pronounced Leib.
Leib, sorry.
Leib. So Leib is German for life.
Mhm.
And Timothy Snyder spends a little bit of time exploring the thinking of Edith Stein, who is an early 20th century German thinker who talks about the difference between Leib, that is life, and Körper, which is body. Our life is vibrant. Our Körper is the body. It could also be our corpse. And when we are treated as Körpers, as bodies, we are not treated as life. When we treat ourselves as life, we are not treating ourselves as just bodies. And we have this problem in this country, right? So at the heart of the slavery question, and again, let's focus on American chattel slavery, the treatment of people who look different than white people as bodies that can be abused,
Mhm.
bodies that can be used, bodies that can be exploited, bodies that are not live,
Mm-hmm.
right? Bodies that I can count as 3/5 that I get to vote that they don't. So in this, when we start with that, and this is such a central point for Professor Snyder, that our concept of freedom, in fact, starts with freedom, as you were saying, Nanette, to hold slaves, freedom to do something terrible
Mm-hmm.
to someone else and
Mm-hmm.
ignore their humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, and that the Civil War was fought over whether or not the government got to interfere with my freedom to do something terrible, which is freedom from, as opposed to freedom to. Now, Snyder talks about it in the next paragraph, exactly this, because so one of the stories he recounts is he has a terrible health issue that is made worse over time by a couple of things. One is that he and other doctors ignored things not working and didn't look at him
Right.
in a fuller picture. Another was racism. His advocate at a hospital in Connecticut was a close friend of his who is an African-American woman doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Who could not advocate effectively on his behalf because of racism,
Mm-hmm.
despite the fact that she is also an MD and also, as expert as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So here he says, I had 3 problems when I was very sick: my own attitude toward my body, the commercialization of medical care, which is, a whole nother thing, and racism. These really amount to one problem. If we do not recognize the general predicament of illness and death, if we do not recognize all bodies, then we do not recognize our own predicament when we are sick and what it means for freedom. Meaning,
Mm-hmm.
the lie that allows me to treat somebody else terribly also prevents me from treating myself well.
That's it.
Oh,
Wait,
I got your check.
wait. Probably sexism too.
Yeah,
says
exactly.
Chris, absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%.
Across the board there. You got questions?
put all that in my head at the same time. Can you say it again?
So
Which part?
if
The last part.
if I participate in the deception,
Right.
in the fundamental lie that says there is good reason for me to be free to mistreat someone else,
Right.
that I am in fact buying into a system that supports me mistreating myself too, because the deception says this body is not a person,
Right.
and therefore doesn't deserve freedom or good treatment. And if I can say that about somebody else, I am also leaving open the opportunity
own,
for
yeah.
people to say it about me.
Right.
But you're not a white male, are you?
I am.
Okay, then how come you don't know that? They are
Because-
above all else.
So citing another source that we've looked at here, which is the sum of all,
Heather McGee.
right? So the sum of
The
us.
sum of us.
Right.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Heather McGee wrote an amazing book where she looked at why we don't have good things, right? Why don't we have nice things? Is her question.
That was the first question of the book. Like,
It-
this is why we cannot have nice things.
We cannot have nice things.
Right.
And the reason we can't have nice things is racism.
Right. And Go ahead, sorry.
No. So her central issue is the closing of public swimming pools.
Mm-hmm.
That as soon as public swimming pools were forced to be integrated across the country, they were not just closed,
Oh
they were
gosh.
filled in.
Yes. Became parking lots.
That
Yeah.
African Americans swimming next to the white section in Lake Michigan, caused a riot.
Yeah.
Where people were killed. Yes.
Yeah.
This is our history. This is who we are.
Would this have been?
1963.
Oh,
And think about it. Think about
But
oh, sorry.
Buffalo. I live on a street in North Buffalo where almost every house, including mine, has a pool,
Mm-hmm.
an outdoor pool. Why the heck do people have outdoor pools in
In Buffalo?
they pushed this up.
No,
No.
people have outdoor pools
So
in
that they-
Buffalo because when the YMCA and the YWCA and all the pools got integrated, they said
They said, we're not going to send our
our
kids.
kids to pools
Yeah,
anymore.
we'll buy a pool. We'll buy our own pool. And that's what I was going to say. Think about the popularity of home pools in the 80s and 70s and the 80s and the 90s, right? It was almost standard for a certain class of living for the house to have a swimming pool, right? Because that was what was going on.
So here,
We got a hand up.
yes, please, Annette.
I'm thinking about this earlier today, when you talk about, this author and his, black health advocate unable to get the best for him because she was black. I think the most important thing to teach them, for white people to understand about racism isn't the idea of white people coming over to help black people, but to understand that racism harms all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And here's-
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking today about, Rob Lieberman, the 97 Rock DJ that got fired a couple of years ago because he said something racist on air. White guy. And he'd been working for 97 Rock for ages.
Mm.
And, like I said, he said something racist, he got fired. And then he was on this campaign to, impress upon everyone that he was a good guy, he was racist, and he was sorry for what he said, and it wasn't fair that he got fired. What he didn't understand, what made the entire experience such a loss for Buffalo was he was just another person who got fired because of racism.
Mm-hmm.
He saw himself as a white guy who was victimized
Mhm.
by, do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Lack of humor,
Mm.
by corporate America being too sensitive. And,
Yeah.
and he saw himself as, now he was in a position to lead discussions about race and everything, but he really missed
the point.
He missed what could have been.
Yeah, a great teaching moment. The same thing happened with Don Imus, right? I don't know if you remember Don Imus. I think that happened before Lieberman, right? Don Imus, but he didn't take the high road. He didn't say, well, hey, I'm a victim of this a politically correct culture. He just said, screw all of you, right? But at the same time, he also felt victimized. And for me, as a younger African American, observing his behavior, I had to question, I'm asking people, why is he so upset? Like, why are you mad? Like, why are you mad? Why are you mad? We should be mad, right? I should be upset. And my question was, okay, if you are a public figure, you are Don Imus and Lieberman, these were all public figures. They're either they have a microphone or they have the camera. They are public figures. They're in the public eye. And the mic is always on, the camera's always rolling. So it's not like these things can't or won't happen to you. I mean, even Oprah Winfrey, she might have said some foul things on the air and she got a slap on the wrist. It happens. These things happen. We're human beings. And when they do happen, you get punished for it. Whether they take your show or like if you're Dave Chappelle, they call you crazy, but there's some kind of consequence.
Well, but
hold on, let me
yeah.
So my question is, if you live in that reality, why are you angry when you get called out about it?
Well,
where's the anger coming from?
But here's the deal, right? We're talking about freedom,
Right,
which is about rights.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? I don't have a right to have a radio show.
Mm.
I don't have a right to have a television show.
Me neither.
I have a right to pitch it and see if people will buy it.
Mm.
I have a right to put my ideas into the free market and see what it will bear.
Mm-hmm.
Once I've made it, I don't have a right to keep it either.
Right, that's right.
I am free to try it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the issue about freedom too. So these people are taking for granted, going back to what Annette said,
Mm-hmm.
Really, let's call it a white advantage of freedom that's not shared by everybody.
By everyone.
And then they get angry when it's restrained at all.
That's right.
So, because they consider it absolute. We talked about this with freedom of speech,
Hmm.
because of course, the real issue is that speech is not free, speakers are free.
Speakers are free.
People are free.
Right,
A country is not free.
right.
People are free.
Mm.
So when people with the highest of advantages object to restraints on their speech, they are objecting to anyone holding them accountable for
Mm.
what they say. I am free to say whatever the F I want, and then free to be held
Free
accountable.
to be held
for it.
accountable for it, right? Free to be,
So-
and to me, that's freedom, honestly. And I guess because I have a different understanding of what
Yeah, so
freedom means.
Chris reminds us white men primarily. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
That I'm just gonna be flying through.
Exactly.
So the conclusion of this bit, which we set out to read, is important. So I'd like us to turn to it just briefly, because really what we're talking about here is what Professor Snyder focuses in on is this challenge of how negative freedom comes from slavery in our country.
Mm.
So you want to, with respect to health?
With respect to health, the idea of negative freedom is a dangerous relic of the past, of a time when the most that could be hoped for was property, slaves, and women to surround an ill man. We can do so much better now and for everyone. A revolution in medicine and hygiene began after the Civil War. Physicians and following them, governments around the world implemented policies of hygiene, vaccination, and preventative care. These programs created not only the reality, but the expectation of a much longer life.
Advances in medicine made possible a profound gain of freedom.
Mm.
People who are more confident about health will have greater ambitions for life. People who expect to live short lives are more likely to risk them in violence. That in turn shortens the lives of others.
Keep going.
Yeah.
We can bring Jefferson's thought to its logical conclusion and unite his three basic rights in a fourth: the right to health care. But we will only achieve that if we manage something that the founders did not, recognizing other bodies as equally human. And
Right.
that's
Jefferson's three basic rights, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But there is none of those without life, right? Which is his point. Leib, right? Edith Stein's idea of life is a necessary part. You can't have liberty and the pursuit of happiness if you are not alive.
That's right.
Life comes first, and as he says, health comes right after
that. Yeah.
Because so one of his big deals is we think of ourselves as so free, except our life expectancies suck.
Compared to the rest of the world.
We think of ourselves as so free, and yet American women go into hospitals to try to give birth and face greater risk than any other country of similar wealth and well-being. So where is this freedom without life, without health?
Yep.
And this is an important aspect of freedom to versus freedom from. And it leads us to this idea of sovereignty. For those of you who looked ahead at the readings, he talks a lot about a lot of things. I gave us 26 pages of readings because I thought it was all important, and so that's on me. I apologize. However, and he reminds us, by the way, that the Liberty Bell was not called the Liberty Bell.
No.
It wasn't rung in 1776, that the Liberty Bell was in fact an abolition bell, and it wasn't recast as the Liberty Bell in popular consciousness really until 1976.
Right.
76?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bicentennial project.
Right. Right.
So, so he has a whole bunch of amazing things. But this idea of sovereignty is his first lens on freedom. So he breaks down freedom into 5 different ideas. The ideas are sovereignty, unpredictability, mobility, factuality, and solidarity. And all five fall into this question of how do we promote greater freedom too?
Mm.
Because again, he identifies what he calls freedom as the value of values, that we need freedom in order to recognize other values. It's a prerequisite to seeing value. And that when we look at freedom from as opposed to freedom to, we are cutting it off as a value because freedom from is not a value.
Right.
Because it goes back again to
It's a
slavery.
negative.
The freedom from the government to stop me from doing something immoral is not a value.
No, it's not.
And if we draw, that means that I should be free from the government to interfere with me owning what I want, namely a firearm. There's no value in that.
Mm.
There's no moral, ethical ethos in that. So therefore, we have to build the morality from freedom to. So what does he mean by sovereignty? He has a very short sentence about sovereignty, which I'm going to throw up in a minute.
It's found it somewhere in here.
A quick take on bodies and corpor and libe, which is important, is what Hitler thought of it. Since Hitler has made it into the news so much of late, I'm going to throw it up on the screen. Because, you know, I go at this as trying to be a decent teacher. So this is
Because you're good with the German.
so this is
Better than I am.
Hitler took a view of the human body utterly opposed to Stein's. In Mein Kampf, he wrote Fremdkörper. So you can see the word Körper in there. It's up there.
Yeah.
Infesting the Volkskörper, the German racial organism. So you've got foreign bodies infesting German bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than seeing each person in Germany as a distinct human body, Nazis portrayed the German race as a single organism and the Jews as the foreign objects, bacteria, or parasites. So this is, he doesn't go on about this, but I think it's important because I think it's fresh in our minds. He brings a lot of new thinking in because he brings Václav Havel and Edith Stein and Simone Weil, these European thinkers that we don't necessarily encounter all the time to talk about this. But let's talk, you know, as the rabbi in the room for a moment, I'm going to talk about the Nazis. And one of the essential aspects to Nazi treatment of people who weren't Nazis, starting with Jews, but of course anybody who was against them, was their dehumanization, right? So the propaganda that compared Jews to rats, an infestation. However, remember, at the heart of this is also the dehumanization of Germans themselves. Because if the Germans are just one big organism, then they are not individual lives.
Right.
Which is why you can sacrifice parts of the big organism for war. And this is essential. By dehumanizing Jews, Hitler was able to also dehumanize Germans for the sake of the Volk, right? The people, but not persons. A great body of the population, but not lives. And thus he could throw offensives into the Soviet Union in the winter, and where, you know, remember, the millions of people who died who were civilians, it's something like 14 million people who died, including the 6 million Jews and all the political enemies, and the whole group, right? It was 14 million, but it was 40 million soldiers who died.
I just wanted to also add that, when visiting friends in Germany, we walked the streets of Berlin, and they had the brass plates where with the last date of where these people had been seen at their residence or
Mhm.
whatever. And I started asking, because I taught the deaf in Buffalo for 38 years. I started asking questions about what about other people? And it opened a whole new thing where they were considered absolutely something to waste as well,
Yeah.
because they were inferior.
Yeah,
There was a gentleman who hid many of them.
yeah,
Got that book and I was reading it to one of my deaf-blind students, and it was fascinating, but
yeah.
scary, sad.
There's a,
but fascinating too, because it was something no one ever talked about.
yeah. There was a book, and I can't remember the name of the book, but it talked about it was written a long time ago. So I think the title was the Negroes in the Holocaust. It is it's a very thick book that talks about all the Black people who also were interned and who were killed in these concentration camps. And you never hear them or see them. And the book also talked about the people that were LGBTQ that were also in this same mix. So, so like you said, as long as you're not German, and what does that even mean, right? But if you're not German, you are not. You're not. You don't. You're not a human being. And so we can do whatever we want to you, right? And it's our right.
And if you are German, you're disposable too.
And well, yeah, but on the other end, right?
So here is his quickest definition of sovereign. To be sovereign means to have a sense of what ought to be and how to get there. So Nanette and your definition that the scholar that you quoted at the outset, to be able to grow.
To be able to grow.
Right. So he starts the story of sovereignty with motherhood and being born. And
I never gave context to who Asada Shakur was, did I?
no, that's okay.
Okay.
You want to do that?
I could, but I don't want to break what you got going.
So
we'll come back to it.
So here are his conclusions about sovereignty. Just bearing a child does not bring the knowledge that mothers or parents or a family need, nor the time needed to apply it. Babies are thrown into a world that, if governed by negative freedom, must be senseless and grotesque. They cannot be raised by the absence of barriers. They need things they cannot themselves know. No infant can liberate its parents or give them time or set policy. Freedom works as a larger cooperative project over generations or not at all.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read the next one?
Those who care about childhood should care about freedom. And those who care about freedom should care about children. This means caring about the society into which the next American baby will be born. Individual freedom is a social project and a generational one. For people to grow up in freedom, the right structures must already be in place when they are born.
So
that is very timely.
The ability to grow,
Right.
the ability to change, look out there and make a new reality starts with birth, but with the communal project of child rearing.
Yeah.
We don't become children who go into the world and find our own way as sovereigns without assistance.
Mm-hmm.
It is a gift that we give generationally, right? We received it having not earned it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anybody who's a child who asks their mother who gave birth to them whether or not they felt like they were owed something when they came out, or they owed having been born into this world by somebody who carried them for 9 months. Let me tell you that most mothers in that moment feel like they've already given.
That's it. That's it.
And most children still need more.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that a child can do to repay that until they themselves become a supportive parent.
Mm-hmm.
So sovereignty is not about nationhood. It's not about whether or not we can assert will as a people. It's about whether or not we can assert will as a person. And the only way we can do that is if we've been supported to become a person who can assert will.
That's interesting. Malcolm X said something similar to that. And if I could find that quote, I would rest well at night. But I can't find it anywhere. But I remember, because I'm a big Malcolm X aficionado, but he was teaching a lecture to the Nation of Islam. This was before this was after he split with the Nation of Islam. And he was building sort of building the Organization of African Unity. He was saying that, he was telling African Americans in the struggle that, okay, yeah, it's great to struggle for freedom, but that's a tricky struggle. He said, instead, we should be struggling for sovereignty. And he was saying that, and like you just said, sovereignty is not just about nationhood, but he said sovereignty should be nurtured by nations. Like a nation should, I'm paraphrasing, that it is the nation that should in turn nurture that sovereignty in its young, in its youth, in its families. And he talked about the and then he went into certain, Muslim nations in other countries, particularly on the African continent, and how they had this principle of sovereignty built into their culture, where you had, okay, Sharia law, we have our issues with Sharia law, but he was saying that in Sharia law is built into Sharia law is this continuity of our nationhood, but also the continuity of our culture. And that this is ingrained from the top down, right? Everyone from the top down understands this. So you do what you do, not just for yourself, but also for your children, your children's children, your children's children's children. And so, the idea, the concept was, as he explains it, is that we set these laws not to restrict people, but to form a foundation that we can bring people up in, that we can raise people in, so that when they become of age, they have clear understanding of who they are as individuals, but also where they fit in the larger context of culture, society. And this is echoed in many indigenous cultures across the planet, right? They were doing this tens of thousands of years ago, where they had this concept of self, but the idea of the self was heavily invested in the idea of the village or the tribe or the family.
So to complement the Malcolm X quote,
Yeah.
I want to bring in Angela Davis.
Aha.
So this is the very last page of the
Mhm.
packet. And
That's Dr. King.
no, that's
This-
Angela Davis.
Oh, okay.
The very last page.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Gotcha.
So read that paragraph for us.
No, the last page,
The final-
Angela, the last page. It's two-sided. Yeah. This is Angela Davis. I often emphasize that the Montgomery bus boycott, which for many people is a defining moment of the civil rights movement, would not have been possible had it not been for Black women domestic workers. These are the people we never think about. They are totally invisible in history, but those are the women who refused to ride the bus. Those are the Black people who were riding the bus because they were riding from Black communities to white communities, because they were cleaning white people's houses and cooking white people's food and doing their laundry. But we can't imagine that they were the agents of history that gave us this amazing civil rights movement. Yeah.
So this, I think, is the African-American response to what is sovereignty.
Right.
Freedom to make a difference by standing up
Mm-hmm.
and doing the thing. Now, again, we see the flip side of that today, where we see, as Chris pointed out, wealthy white men deciding that they don't need to obey the law.
Mm.
Why? For the sake of continuing to enrich themselves and impoverish others. But here we see a freedom to demand agency for ourselves, demand sovereignty for people who have washed other people's clothing. Why were African-American women washing white people's clothing in the South in the 50s and 60s?
Mm.
You know why? Tell me why.
Anyone?
Union, by the way, one of the first unions in this country was African American
Domestic.
women laundry washers
Yeah.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So why were black women still washing white people's laundry in the 1950s in Montgomery, Alabama?
Has a very complex answer to that question. Lots of layers to that. We can start with tradition, right? I love to start there. My grandmother would start there. My grandmother would say, because my grandmother was one of the first African American nurses in her county. Then she was the first African American registered nurse in the county. And when someone asked her, Clara, her name was Clara, God rest her soul. They said, Clara, how did you become a registered nurse? Because all of my grandmother's peers were domestic workers. She said, they asked her, well, where did you get this idea to become a registered nurse? Is what they asked her. And her response was, because you all wanted me to wash your clothes, and I chose not to. It was socially acceptable for Black women to be domestic workers. So it wasn't even, you're gonna do this for me. This was one of the few accepted roles that Black women could.
There were no other options.
There were no other options. If you wanted to make money, you had to clean
Oh.
somebody's toilet, right?
And because white women refused to do it.
And white women refused to do it.
And therefore, why was there a union? There was a union because African American women finally said, we need a living wage.
Right.
We are forced into this only place
Right.
where we can earn a living to support our household.
Right.
And we still can't do it.
Right.
Because it's, without a washing machine, this is really hard.
That's a lot of work. A lot of work.
It's a really hard work. And the white women in the South after the Civil War wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know,
Well, then they
sexism,
should have gotten
racism,
dirty clothes, that's all.
and then
Classism.
responding with agency and
Mhm.
sovereignty.
Well, the
So
white
we
women
only have a few
should
minutes
just,
left.
the white
Uh,
women should have just worn
My
dirty.
mother is talking, which is great, which means I have to give
Yeah,
her
you
a
better.
voice.
No,
Yeah.
I'm
Let
just, I'm just saying the white women should have just worn dirty clothes, that's all. I can't hear you.
Got you. I'm working on it.
I got it.
You can do
So
it.
yeah. So I want to thank all of you for showing up tonight. Thank you for bearing with us on our technical issues.
Oh, that went off.
I know, that's why I'm
Oh, okay.
and I thank you, Reverend Dr. Hughes, as always, for your partnership in this. Thank you to Humanities New York for providing us a grant, and thank you to the Buffalo History Museum, a really wonderful location, not just
Yes.
for this auditorium that we are using,
Yeah.
but if you have never been here, please come
fabulous.
and visit.
Yeah.
It is, they have so much stuff. They rotate exhibits regularly. They also have something called the Annex, which is where they store all the other stuff, and you can book tours there as well. So we are very grateful to both those institutions for helping us out, and we're really grateful to all of you. Please, all of our thank you for coming. Accomplices for Justice has been going on for a while. Our links to all of our YouTube videos and Zoom from prior are on our website, which is opendoorjudaism.org, and we are continuing. Somebody said, Deb said, thank you, just bought the book today. Excellent. Timothy Snyder better thank us for all,
I know,
all
right?
the promotions. I've been trying to get a hold of him. Thank you, all of you who came in from all over the country. It's great to see so many of you here. We are back in 2 weeks with the second idea of freedom. So sovereignty and then unpredictability.
Yes.
It turns out we don't have freedom if we are predictable. And tyrants count on us being predictable.
Yes. Yes. I don't know. Let's think. Let's pause. Let's pause a moment.
So So Snyder is going to point to the fact that so much of contemporary society is designed to make us predictable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And what we need to do about that. So we didn't cover all our material today. We have tons more. Please read and think of questions. Our goal after these 5 sessions is to come up with a plan, because the final lens is solidarity.
Mhm.
We don't have freedom if I have freedom and you don't.
Right.
I have no freedom by myself. I only have freedom in concert with everyone else. So in this time, at this moment, more than ever, we need to figure out for the first time ever in this country how to do it. We are not the only ones who work this problem.
Right.
And one of the things that Professor Snyder points to over and over again is we have to look elsewhere. We have to look at Ukraine. We have to look at Uganda.
Mm.
We have to look at other countries to see how freedom is pursued. Because we may call ourselves the land of the free, but we are not. And we are not the only source of figuring it out either.
And that's interesting you say that we call ourselves the land of the free. And but who is we? That's always my question. Who is we? Who is we? Um, we hear these things differently, right? And I'm not going to preach, but I'm going to
It's okay.
tell you about what I'm going to preach on this Sunday. I'm preaching about the Beatitudes, right? Where Jesus is preaching, blessed are the poor, blessed are the meek, blessed are those who make peace, blessed are those who suffer in my name, blessed are these things. And I've been in the church my entire life, okay? I've been in church my entire life. I've heard the Beatitudes a million times. And every time I hear the Beatitudes, it gives me a sense of hope and resilience. If I can hang in there, these things, because what Jesus is saying is that there's going to be a reversal of fortune. Okay, what Jesus is saying is that the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So those of us who are impoverished will be richly rewarded. Those of us who have been persecuted and downtrodden, we will have our comeuppance. And then the reverse of that is those who are rich now and laughing and haughty will be brought low. And so, as an African American, growing up in the African American church, I've always heard this as something liberative, right? I am an African American man, pastor of a predominantly white church,
Lily white.
lily white church, and filthy rich. Okay. Right. A very wealthy area. What does that sound like to them? Right. It sounds different to me. So when people say land of the free, home of the brave, it sounds different to me than it would be to someone else. And so I have to wrestle with that. I got to talk to these people about a reversal of roles. What do I tell them? What do I say to them? Right? All y'all are going to lose it and I'm going to get it. Like, what can I say? And so I could pose it as that's usually what I do. I try to pose a question. I want people to think. I'm not trying to criticize anyone or shake my finger, but I do want people to think about that. And for me, that's the growing area, right? That's that freedom thing, if you ask me. I feel most free in my role as a pastor when I can talk about these very, very complex and nuanced topics in a way that doesn't come off abrasive or critical, right? Because as soon as someone get their feelings hurt, they stop listening. And so I feel most free when I'm able to talk about racism in a particular context where everyone in the room who doesn't look like me can understand where I'm coming from. They don't have to agree with it. They don't have to. I'm not asking people to do anything about it. I just want you to understand this is how I see it and this is how I hear it. You know?
And this is a very interesting sort of final note about being free as a speaker.
Mm,
Uh, being free as a speaker doesn't mean I get to say whatever I want.
right. Right.
It means I feel free saying the thing that I think is important.
Mm,
Being free as a thinker doesn't mean I'm free. Being free as a speaker doesn't mean I'm free to be irresponsible
mm,
and not think before I speak.
right, right.
Because my freedom is still connected to everyone
That's it.
else's freedom,
That's it. That's
right?
it.
So we have again misunderstood
Mm,
freedom of speech because and this goes back to the book Fearless Speech
right.
that we
Fearless,
looked
yeah.
at, when we define speech as the right to say something offensive, we miss out on the responsibility to speak with one another,
Mm-hmm.
to speak with
Speak
one
with.
another.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to be free, responsible speakers because it is the person who is free, not the speech.
Mm.
And we need to be free to speak difficult words, important words to those who are in power, because the people whose freedom is most vulnerable are the people with less power or no power.
Mm.
Thank you all for asserting your freedom to be here. And we look forward to next time. Next time will be in 2 weeks. So Tuesday, February 25th here. All of our sessions are here. All of our sessions are at the same link on Zoom and on Facebook. We have somebody in our group from South Dakota that I've never met. Thank you, Denise, for being here. It's great. And Deb, I will do my best to put those last few sentences in writing. Thank you. And Rabbi Jonathan, the other Rabbi Jonathan says,
Oh, the other one.
says freedom to be accountable and not freedom from accountability.
Mm.
Jonathan Malamy, who is another rabbi, and I, not only did we go to the same rabbinical school, we went to the same high school.
Oh, wow.
We have known each other since the Reagan administration.
Wow.
We were in youth group together.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
And you are still younger than I am.
I think that's right.
He's a full year younger than I am, but
That year matters.
we don't count that much anymore.
It doesn't matter.
All right. Thank you all. I'm going to close tonight. Thank you, everybody. And we will be back in 2 weeks.